What is this money clip-like thing with a hole on one side and spiked wheels on the other side? It's about 3/4 inch wide and 1.5 inches long. It came in a box of miscellaneous stuff from an estate sale. Most of the other trinkets in the box are from around the turn of the 20th century. What would you call this? It's a Grabler's check protector, or as the patent says, paper marker. It was used in the early 20th century to protect against check fraud. Patented in 1902 by Columbia Specialty Manufacturing Company of Washington, D.C. The user would use the tool across the amount of the check to prevent alteration. The interweaved rollers leave a quilted embossed surface on the paper to render it tamper-resistant. A neat little piece of financial history. My grandmother has this antique enamel cup. She collects enamel items and found this at an antique store. She has asked several people who work with antiques, but not one has been able to identify it. It has a flip-up lid with a built-in funnel-like situation. We thought it was a chamber pot, but we assumed it wasn't one since it is very small, about coffee cup sized. Chamber pots are generally much larger. Does anyone know what it is or what it's for? It's a 19th century spittoon for tobacco users, otherwise referred to as a cuspidor from circa 1885. Due to the widespread use of chewing tobacco in the 19th century, spittoons were a common fixture in public areas, including railroad stations or personal-sized like what you have. Their intended purpose was to collect tobacco juice spit from a distance, so typically, they were built heavy and low to the ground with a wide mouth or funneled top. What is this horn nailed to a carved wooden pole with a chain and a hole in its base? The pole is 33 centimeters long, and the horn is 22 centimeters long. The pole is constructed from an unknown wood with 1 centimeter deep carvings across its body. The horn looks to be genuine and not artificial or carved wood. The origin of this object is unknown. It was discovered in the loft of my house, which has been occupied by our family for the last 52 years. We have tried to do our own research into the object, however, apart from speculating that the horn is genuine, we have had very little result. What is this thing? It's an African tribal elephant, a hunter's or warrior's hunting horn made of ivory. It was used in the Middle Ages more frequently as a decorative piece of furniture than as a musical instrument. Elephants were most prominently used in Europe from roughly the 10th to the 16th century, although some were created later. About 75 ivory hunting horns survive, and about half can be found in museums and church treasuries, while others are in private collections, or their locations remain unknown. What is this thing received by a family member as a Christmas gift? Around 10 to 12 centimeters long, stamped with S and B, an anchor, a lion, and a horseshoe. The top half is silver, and the bottom half is wood. We have no idea what it is. It wasn't opened in front of the elderly gift giver, and the opportunity to ask what it is hasn't arisen as yet. Any ideas? It's a nail buffer. The wood was covered in lambskin. You would brush it on the surface of your nails to make them shine. That's a manicure finish from before nail polish was invented. Based on the hallmarks, the walking lion is made in England. The anchor is made in Birmingham. The S&B is a maker's mark, probably for Sinier and Beddoes, which was a silversmith in Birmingham, which tracks with the anchor hallmark. That pattern of maker's mark was used by them from 1938. What is this solid brass or bronze threaded cone? A friend's father had this in his garage in the Virginia Beach area for at least 40 years. It is heavy, measuring 5.7 inches tall, and the only markings are at the top. I have asked 2 military collectors, but they could not identify it. I think it is some sort of nose cone or protective piece. Any ideas? It's the fuse cover of a U.S. Navy World War II 5-inch 38 caliber TP round. The projectile had threads built into the projectile body just below the fuse and was unscrewed prior to firing. Navy projectiles were moved about the ship by hand, then downloaded into the magazines using projectile hoists and stacked in racks. So it was good to protect the fuse from damage and all this. The brass version most common for World War II and earlier, but later a simple stamped steel type was adopted. The caps were removed before the projectiles were sent up to the gun mount and later turned in for salvage or thrown overboard. What is this heavy metal ball end with a leather-bound handle I found in my grandfather's farm workshop, approximately 12 inches long, and no markings of any sort? I searched old farm tools, woodworking tools, and slaughterhouse tools to no avail. Early pig knocker is what I'm guessing. Does anyone know what this is? It's an old macadam hammer from the turn of the century. These were named after John L. Macadam, a Scottish engineer around 1820. They were used in laying cobblestone streets to break off the rough edges of paving stones. The stones needed to be smooth and fit tightly together to prevent a horse from catching a shoe in the street. What is this metal object I found in a flea market? It has bells inside each of the openings and weighs about a pound. It feels to be made of steel and is magnetic. It is about 1 cubit in length. I am sorry if this is not descriptive enough. This is difficult to describe. What would you call this? It's an elephant goad from the 18th to the 19th century. It's a tool employed by Mahout in the handling and training of elephants. The elephant is trained to respond to pressure applied to the sensitive skin behind the ears, either lightly or more deeply to cause pain, and induce the elephant to behave in a certain manner. What is this machine sitting outside a local Cracker Barrel, about 3 feet tall? The only marking I could read on it was on the handle, which said 60 turns a minute. It may be a hand-cranked corn sheller, and a bucket would go under that spout. Any idea what this was used for? It's a 19th century cream separator, a device used to separate cream from whole milk, dividing the whole milk into skim milk and cream. Cream and skim milk have dissimilar densities, and therefore under the impact of gravity, they tend to get separated. What is this silver object I found in my great-aunt's house? It's slightly bent, but you can see that it's a hollow strip of silver, closed on 3 sides and open on one. The text on one side says the name of the ship, TSS Ulysses, and the hallmarks on the other side indicate that this object was made in the 1930s in Birmingham, UK. The ship was used both as a commercial passenger ship and also a military vessel from 1913. Up until it was torpedoed and sunk in 1942 off the coast of Florida. Any idea what this could be? It's a cover for a mustache comb. The hallmark says it was made in Birmingham, UK in 1931. For Victorian men, the mustache comb was everything. A number of Victorian etiquette manuals contain mustache protocol. It was thought that beards and mustaches may have played a role in attracting a mate, as they can be a sign of virility and masculinity. I saw this at Spike Island Prison Museum in Cork, Ireland. No description, but it looks like a flare gun with no obvious way to load it. Might just be a regular gun meant for one shot. What exactly is this thing for? Please let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.